Cali Nerdcast. I'm Landon Linz.
This is Spencer Linz.
And today we're going to talk about video games.
Yep.
And start off with the history of our kind of history of video games.
Yep.
So what was our first game system? I think Super Nintendo, right?
I don't think so. I don't.
Oh yeah, we had the Atari.
Nope.
No? Before
Maybe
that?
an Atari first.
Oh, computer
But-
games.
Computer games.
You're right. Okay.
So, back, I think, what was before Windows 95?
For Windows 95, dude, DOS. We had DOS.
We started on DOS.
We had DOS for a while.
We started on DOS,
I mean,
that's
you're
right.
a little bit younger, so maybe you don't remember that as well. But
No, man, I remember DOS and a floppy disk that had 100 games. And we bought this floppy disk at some local place. And it was like, I think it was kind of cheap because it was like 100 demos. Like, you couldn't play the full thing, you could just do 100 demos.
yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, Dad was really big into that.
And so we got this floppy disk with 100 demos. Maybe it was a floppy disk. And, dude, there's some gold in those demos. Duke Nukem, not 3D, just Duke Nukem
Yeah.
was on one of those. And it was super, super fun.
I think I played games before that though.
Really?
Yeah. I remember this seems like one of the earliest games that I played, but there was a Tron game. Do you remember the Tron game?
Oh, I love the Tron game.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think I mostly played it at Philip's house down the street. But it was so fun because you create your own maze for the other person.
Yep.
And at the same time, the person can either go along with the maze you're creating or try to create their own to put you into.
Yep. Do you remember when we,
So,
10 years later, me and Landon...
that's better than video games nowadays in some ways. Like, in some ways, there's a lot more strategy to that than a lot of the games that people play.
Yeah, for sure. And I remember, 10 years later, you and me, I don't know if you remember this, do you remember that we found some modern Tron game that was like that?
Oh, we were living in this house.
Yeah.
Years later, yeah.
Years later,
yeah.
at least a decade, probably
Still
more than
fun.
a decade. Yeah, we got really, really into it and thought it was
Still
awesome, because we liked Tron for days.
I think Chris, Kyle, and Cuddy were living with us, I think
I think so.
And we're just trying to give them into it, you don't get how cool this is.
Yeah, and I think it's it was a 2-player game on a computer. So what it would be like is you're both on the same keyboard and you're just turning left and right. So 2 people would pick their keys, and then you'd be it'd be super awkward because you're it'd be like 2 people playing against each other on the same controller. Because you're right next to each other, playing these keys, and you're terribly competitive. I'm sure we elbowed each other.
I wasn't that competitive playing that game.
I guess not.
Oh.
I feel like you were, though.
Well, I mean, I probably didn't have. I wasn't a good.
Whoa. I just had a flashback to you, cussing me out.
Yeah.
Because of this game.
Really?
Yeah, dude.
I've never been a very good sport when it comes to video games, or just any games actually.
I think that's. I mean, I haven't seen you get mad at a video game in a long time.
Well, yeah, not video games, but
last game is Soul Calibur.
Still, when I go bowling, the first game, I'm fine. But, the second and third game, I start, getting mad. And I start, throwing, it's... I actually start doing better only because of anger. Anger is fueling my throws. When I was playing... I went bowling with Tyler and... what's that cousin's name?
Nathan?
Trevor.
Trevor.
For some reason I was thinking Trevor or Travis. I don't know why I had those 2 names in my head. I went bowling with them.
Trevor, if you're listening, Landon is pretty tired.
Yeah,
so.
and I love you.
Yep.
But I was killing it once I started getting angry, and they're like, "Dude, you're doing really good. Like, you might get 200." I'm like,
200?
I was just like, whatever.
Whoa, how many strikes did you get?
I was getting a lot of strikes.
I suck at bowling. I'm lucky if I get into triple digits.
I suck at bowling too, but apparently I do a lot better when I get angry. And I think the only reason I didn't get a 200 is because I started like calming down because I was winning.
Yeah. I like bowling with my daughter, and that's fun.
Yeah.
Last time I bowled with her, she was 2, though, and I don't know what it's like to bowl with a 3-year-old.
This is not the bowling podcast.
It's not.
That took us down a rabbit hole.
So, do you remember the game? It was on the computer, and you're this little spaceship, and there's these little platforms, and you got faster and faster and faster, and you had to jump over different platforms.
Was it a 3D game or a 2D game?
It was a 3D game. I think this was the first 3D game I ever played.
Yeah. Yeah, that game was hard.
It was super hard and super fun.
But wasn't it just a demo that we had too?
Yeah, I think so.
It was a demo, and we couldn't even beat the demo.
Yeah, we couldn't beat the demo. Which, that was the case for so many of the dang demos we had. That's like, we're never going to buy the game. Like, we can't beat
the demo. Yeah, why would we buy the game if we can't beat the demo? That's true.
Yep.
I remember playing, I think it was like Doom. Was it Doom? Or Wolfenstein?
Yeah.
Maybe
we
it was
both.
Wolfenstein. And both
sure.
those games were just so hard. It was just like, oh, we don't even need anything more than the demo.
Now, mind you, we are 6 and 8 and younger. Like,
yeah.
We're like...
Yeah, but this was when we were kids.
Which, let's just talk about the fact that I was playing Duke Nukem and Wolfenstein
Yeah.
when I was like 4 and 5. It was pretty bad.
It's a good thing our mom doesn't listen to this podcast. Oh, wait, she might, actually. She might listen to this.
And our dad is like...
And our dad...
raised him up well.
Our dad will hear it, though.
Yeah.
And he'll be like, yep.
Hey.
I did good.
This is a shout out to our dad. Just for all those video games that you revealed to us when we were young.
Those violent video games. Which, I mean, he didn't like video games, but he let us play video games.
Mega Man was my go-to. Mega Man was my favorite.
Was a really good early computer game we played. We played that a lot at Garberville in that farmhouse. Not Garberville, Greenville or something like that. Remember at Lisa's?
Oh, Bridgeville.
Bridgeville, oh.
Yeah. I didn't know we played that a lot there. That makes sense, though.
Mega Man X7.
Nice.
Yeah. You don't remember that?
I don't remember where I played it. I just remember playing it a lot.
Yeah.
I know.
The Spider-Man movie maker, or whatever it is. Cartoon maker.
I actually have to say,
maker. Yeah.
I think, yeah, that's right. I think Mega Man X7 was the first video game I ever bought.
But all of those, like, I think we had a Nintendo 64 at that time too, though.
Wasn't it called Software Etc.? Wasn't that place? Do you remember that?
Yeah,
before it was
I think
GameStop?
It was called that.
Yeah, I remember getting that there.
Before it was called GameStop. Man, It was kind of sad when, like, everything just became GameStop.
Yeah.
GameStop just became this monopoly that just ate up everything else.
Yeah, because there were some fun little knick-knack stores.
Well, it just felt slightly unique. Like, this town or this mall has this, and then this other mall has this game store.
Yep.
There's more... I mean, they're pretty much doing the same thing, but there's at least a little more individuality. It wasn't just, like, one monopoly.
By the way, at the very end of this, me and Landon are going to give our top 5 all-time favorite video games.
Well, yeah, we could do that. But also, this all has to eventually go into talking about my favorite game, Metal Gear Solid.
Which will be on the top 5 list.
It'll be on the top 5 list, but there's, I mean, we could talk about the other 4, whatever it might be, for a little bit, but...
No, we're just going to give the top 5, and we'll talk about Metal Gear Solid for a long time.
Okay.
So, man, rest of the history. So, like, Mega Man for a long time. We started getting into console games.
Like, yeah, because...
The Spider-Man Cartoon Maker. We had this Spider-Man Cartoon Maker.
Yeah, but that was all after we got
into consoles.
And
yeah. First console was Nintendo?
Well, we had Dad had an Atari in the garage when we lived in Scotia.
Wow.
Yeah, you don't remember? Yeah, you're probably too young to remember that, but he
I
brought the
wish we had that
Atari out.
retroness.
We actually had an Atari Superman game.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's sick.
It was terrible. It wasn't even fun for somebody that loves Superman. but we had it, and it was available to play. Well, what's fun was ping pong.
Yeah, Pong.
Or
right.
just Pong, yeah.
Pong, yeah. Pong was super fun to play.
Ping pong's the real version.
Yeah, that's the actual
The less
paddles.
cool. But, okay, so Atari. So we pretty much went through the normal, like,
I feel
cycles of games. Like, we had an Atari, and then we had a Super Nintendo.
Yep.
I guess, well, did we ever have a regular Nintendo?
I think we had a regular Nintendo.
Or maybe we started out with a regular Nintendo.
No, I think we started off with the Super Nintendo, but then we got a Nintendo somehow.
Like maybe Curtis had it?
I think so.
I think so, too.
Yeah, I think our stepdad had a a Nintendo, and then we played that because of that.
What was our first game? Our first video game? Was it Donkey Kong?
Donkey Kong, yep.
Donkey Kong was our first game. I think we got Super Mario eventually, maybe. I remember I played a lot of video games at other kids' houses because me and Spencer both grew up Jehovah's Witness, so we didn't have like a Christmas to look forward to getting the game console, and it wasn't until our first Christmas that we got our first console.
No, that was when we got the PlayStation. Because we got the Super Nintendo before then. Mm-hmm.
Are you really?
Yeah, man. Our first Christmas, we got a PlayStation 1.
Okay.
With Tomb Raider.
Okay.
We rocked
How
that
did we
Tomb
get
Raider.
a Super Nintendo before that?
They just bought us a Super Nintendo.
I don't remember that at all.
We got a Super Nintendo.
But I do remember not having a Super Nintendo for a long while. Like, if we did get it, we got it late.
Yeah.
And I remember playing it at Tyler's house. And playing it at... I remember playing... I think it was actually regular Nintendo at Philip's house. Or one of Philip's friend's house. And remember they had it in their kitchen? I don't know if you remember that.
I don't remember that.
I went to somebody's house and they had it in their kitchen.
My brain is like trying to search the archives right now.
Yeah. They had it in their kitchen and we were playing the original Star Fox. Not Star Fox 64, but the original Star Fox that was like... It was the only 3D game on a regular Nintendo.
Oh, that was great too. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Super fun. I remember that.
Or a Super Nintendo, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was epic
crazy.
for its time.
Yeah.
So I had a friend, Brandon Fisher, lived down the road. This is, I was 5 at the time. And my parents would let me walk about a block.
Wait, in Scotia?
Yeah. My parents would let me walk by myself about a block away to go over to a friend's house and play.
That was probably more Dad that let you do that.
I don't know. I think it was both of them.
Bet you.
Probably.
It was that parent that let you chop wood with an axe when you were 5.
We love you. We know you're going to listen. And that is a true story.
I was fine with it.
At the time, I just thought that was what childhoods were like. You just roam the neighborhood, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what time it is. You just roam the
play
neighborhood.
that huge hide-and-go-seek game throughout the entire town at night.
At night.
Just a bunch of kids running around the
like
town.
9 a.m., 10 a.m.,
It's a really
9
small,
p.m., 10 p.m.
condensed
Lumbertown. Yeah. Longest running.
So at least had the illusion of safety.
Yeah. I think that's pretty safe back then, but I could be totally wrong. I was, of course, very naive, being 5. So.
They didn't have the internet back then, so they weren't as conscious about rapists.
So yeah, Mega Man. We got the PlayStation, Tomb Raider. What else do we do on PlayStation?
Well, I got the first Metal Gear Solid on PlayStation.
Yes, first Metal Gear Solid on PlayStation. Let's let the topic begin.
Should we talk about it? Okay.
Let's do it.
First Metal Gear Solid. It starts off and it feels like a James Bond game.
Yep.
You meet this character that, or you play as this character that basically you get the chance to like feel like James Bond at the very beginning of it, where the girls all think they're just supposed to be professionals that you're talking to, but they're like flirting with you and stuff because you're basically you're the legend Solid Snake.
And now legend.
You're the legend Solid Snake. That's my impression of Mei Ling.
Oh yeah, that was Landon's impression. If you're wondering if we like maybe imported in the clip, no, that was just Landon.
No, that was actually me. That wasn't an audio clip.
But the legend comes from like a 2D version of this guy.
Here's an audio clip of Mei Ling from Metal Gear Solid.
Okay, take it away, Landon.
Snake, you make me so horny.
Yep. Now back to us. That was just an audio clip.
Yeah, that's from the game. I wouldn't just make that up.
As you can tell, they sound very similar. So the game before was a 2-dimensional game, and it was text.
Metal Gear?
Yeah, Metal Gear. Metal Gear was a 2-dimensional game. It was text.
Yeah, but that game didn't even exist in our world.
We didn't know about it. We didn't know about it at all. But supposedly, this guy is super epic, and Metal Gear Solid is when it's 3-dimensional. They actually have voice actors because it's not just text. And it is such an incredible video game. Like, the sneaking around and all that's incredible. The gameplay is very fun. It's very you gotta be strategic, you gotta be smart. It's not just to go in and shoot everybody. This is the first time that I remember playing a video game that had guns where it wasn't about using them, but it was about avoiding using them until it was a worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Which was super weird to do that in a video game.
If you had to kill someone in that game, it's because you messed up.
Yep.
And that was just you brought on the situation.
Yep.
Because you had every reason to just sneak around the enemies. Or the boss fights, but even...
The boss fights were incredibly epic.
And then, but to jump ahead a little bit, later on, from Metal Gear Solid 2 onto Metal Gear Solid 5, you could literally take out every enemy without killing them. They let you use tranquilizer guns and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, okay, the thing I wanted to say, though, is it starts off like a James Bond game, but that's almost to deceive you, because what it becomes is you end up finding what everyone has in themselves, which is, you're a real human being. It's like, we had seen James Bond 100 times, and it's attractive, but it's not real. It's not relatable.
There's no depth, yeah.
And then you see Snake, and he's Solid Snake, main character, and he sees this girl, and he acts really tough around her, but when at one point he can't save her, or just like even when as he's meeting her and he's trying to help her through this situation, he really starts opening up, and as he like cares for her, he starts to reveal his how broken he is, how painful war has been for him, and you see a lot more vulnerable side, which is something that I feel like a lot of video games you still don't see in a main character. Is like, if it's this badass main character, they're not supposed to have this like sensitive moment where they admit their weaknesses. They're still a total badass. Like, he can take down a helicopter barehanded, but or not completely barehanded, but or tank. You take down a tank just with grenades. But at the same time, it's this, like, I want to love, but he's afraid of getting hurt, and he's just been alone. He's been from family to family.
Yep. And the whole game feels like one huge movie.
Totally.
It feels like one huge movie, and The character development's awesome. The character is introduced. Gray Fox is, I think, hands down, Metal Gear Solid Gray Fox is one of the most interesting characters, one of the most captivating characters I've ever seen in a video game, and I definitely say, like, is up there in a movie, too. Like, his whole character is so unique, and just his last scene where he's trying to save Snake from Metal Gear is incredible. It's every single time I've watched it from the time we were really young. I don't know how old we are at this time. We were at that time, but it gave me chills. I think I probably teared up. A cornered fox is more dangerous than a jackal. Like,
oh yeah,
the lines and just the
Gray Fox. It's so philosophical.
Yeah.
And it's like Shakespeare in a stealth video game.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's famous. I mean, this is why it's so renowned. But I think it got lost in translation. Like, that game got lost in translation. Even though they brought it back on GameCube, I think it's still, there's a whole generation of kids that missed it because of Metal Gear Solid 2 and how weird that game was.
Yeah, Metal Gear
It's such a
Solid 2
bummer
was a
that,
trip.
like, here's the thing.
We loved it.
Metal Gear Solid is a lot like Star Wars.
Yep.
George Lucas made the first Star Wars movie, and he made it incredible. And then the difference is in his story, 2 of his creations were pretty much, his hands were off of them. When he put his hands back on them in 1, 2, and 3 is where you saw that just because someone does something really great the first time doesn't mean they can duplicate what made that so good. And that's the same thing I felt with the Metal Gear Solid games, is that if you play the other Metal Gear Solid games, it's almost like Hideo Kojima, the creator, is trying to, like, make fun of the fans, really.
Yeah.
The thing about Metal Gear Solid 2, and I've watched other YouTube videos talk about this game, because there's so much to talk about with Metal Gear Solid 2. You can either just see how complex it is and go, oh, that's way too complex, I don't like it. Or you can go, what does all this complexity mean? And there is a deep rabbit hole to go down trying to figure out what all that means. But a big part of it is Raiden, which is this new character that no one knew was going to even be in the game. They didn't advertise him. He wasn't on the case for the video game. I think I remember seeing like an action figure or something like that for him, but I had no idea. I just figured he was like a boss fight or something, like he was an enemy.
Or like another Gray Fox character.
He literally did everything he could to make sure that this is how far he went. For the trailers for the second half of Metal Gear Solid 2, they showed Solid Snake in place of Raiden. So you saw the same scenes playing out, but they actually put Solid Snake. They just replaced his model. Like a modder replaces a character in a video game.
Mm-hmm.
He put Solid Snake in place of Raiden because he knew that fans would be like, what? We're playing as a new character now? But he completely surprised people on that. And his whole idea was that you play as this character and then you start reliving the experiences of the first game. And as you're going, the character's talking about how, he's played the VR missions and he knows all of Solid Snake's mission from Shadow Moses, which is the mission he was on in the first game. And you're basically that character. It's a metaphor for you being Raiden and you wanting to relive that same experience as before. And Hideo Kojima is basically saying, like, through Solid Snake, as Solid Snake talks to him, like, Solid Snake literally tells him, find your own identity. Because Raiden ends up finding out that he doesn't have an identity. and that in the whole game he's just talks about Solid Snake and how famous he is, and about the legend of Solid Snake, that he doesn't have his own identity, and Hideo Kojima is using that to say, that's you guys, that's you Metal Gear Solid fans. It's a weird thing to do. It's unprecedented. No other video game
Goes into
series
such deep things.
and no other video game series at the same time. Here's the problem, though. No other video game series goes to that length to almost make fun of the fans.
Yeah.
Almost punishes them
For being a fan.
for being a fan. I mean, it's like it's an interesting satire, but and he didn't stop doing that. Like Metal Gear Solid 5.
I just know every time when there would be one of those like slights, I always felt like I was still on the developer's side though. And like I was still kind of like making that fun with them at some mysterious other person that's playing the game.
Yeah.
And I don't know if everyone feels like that. I don't know. Some people are like, whatever, dude. But I think that there's probably more people that feel like that too. That are, even though they're being made fun of, they feel like they're making fun of somebody else, some other
Right.
type of player.
Yeah. Yeah.
But maybe not.
Well, and here's the thing too: is like, there's M. Night Shyamalan fans, you know, of just the twists and his famous twists.
Yeah.
Hideo Kojima was doing that even before M. Night.
Yeah, that's true.
Because even from the very first game, Metal Gear Solid 1, there's big twists in that.
Yeah.
I mean, Metal Gear Solid 2 takes it to a whole different level where your entire reality is stripped away.
Yep.
It's kind of like a Fight Club kind of moment where he's like, the kernel isn't actually the kernel, it's a computer program by some basically an Illuminati type group.
Yep. The Patriots.
The Patriots. Yeah. The Lolly Lule Lo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And yes, it's trippy, man.
It really is.
You don't even know what to really think is. You don't even really know what's supposed to be real and what's not in that game.
Yep. And the ending is
Some
pretty
people
crazy.
are offended by that, but I love that. I love how deep that is, and just.
Yeah, I think there's lots of movies where people want to, and there's lots of stories where people want a definite answer. And
Yeah.
Like,
Shutter Island.
Shutter Island, I think Lost is a great example. Everyone wanted Lost, all the weird little things to be explained.
Yeah, totally.
And at the end, you're left with more questions than you had before you watched it.
It gets to stay an art piece. Like I loved how you said that when we used to talk. We used to talk about Shutter Island a lot. And when that movie first came out, we watched it, we talked about it, and then we would watch it with other people and talk about it with them. And because it was interesting, because people would always, at the end of that movie, have a preconceived idea of what actually happened.
Yeah.
It was always fun to like.
Yeah, I'd compare it to how there'd be those paintings where you can just see two different images. Like one thing that a person could see is an old lady with a long chin, but another person, it's like the chin is part of a beautiful lady's dress that's turning the other way. And it's kind of like movies can kind of seem like that. And my whole theory is I think that's what Shutter Island did. I go back and forth. I think Shutter Island more does have one way that really is the story. But I do think that they left it open enough, especially at the very end, where it feels like you can make an argument for the other side. And that's what I really like. It reminds me too of like if you haven't seen like the really famous like it's a blue and black dress, but to other people it looks like gold in a different color.
Oh yeah, that.
I always see it
thing
blue
that
and
was
black.
circling Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a dress that some people just see it one way and they will never see it a different way, and other people see it
It's just
another way.
annoying at that time when that came out, how like passionate people were. It's like there's something beautiful about being able to perceive something differently.
Yeah.
And it's always a bummer when people are like, they're more concerned about being right than they are about trying to understand how someone else perceives it differently.
Yeah, and with the dress, it's not what I think is a really beautiful thing, because there actually was a dress. The dress is a certain color. It actually is blue and black. But for these movies and these stories, they can stay abstract forever. They can stay without an answer. They can stay inconclusive forever, and it's up to you. It's up to you to ponder it. It's up to you to discuss it.
Was it a blue and black dress though?
You can buy it now.
Yeah, I think I saw like they had another picture of it, and it's like, oh, okay, that's a blue and black dress.
Yeah. Did you see it the other way, the golden color?
Gold and white.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I did.
I never saw it like that. I tried so hard to.
But I think what happened with that picture is like if you take a photo, and the surroundings of that photo are a certain color, your mind will either correct the object and the surroundings, or it won't correct any of it. It'll accept the surroundings the way they are, and thus at the same time accepting the item the way it looks.
Yep. And that's what I think those movies and those books are like. Like you're just gonna do one or the other.
You're gonna either accept it or you're gonna try to correct it.
Yep.
It's pretty deep.
Uh-huh.
Deep words. Something for you kids to think about before you go to sleep, or before you go to work today,
or whenever it is.
Whenever you're listening.
Whenever you're listening to the Nerdcast. So should we move on from Metal Gear Solid?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to talk about my multiplayer games that I got really into.
Yeah, I mean that was a big thing. The whole
Yes.
Counter-Strike and.
Well, initially, there was Age of Empires 2. That was my intro into the online multiplayer world. It was a beautiful intro. Age of Empires 2, it's on my top 5 list. It is one of my favorite real-time strategy games ever made. I like it more than StarCraft. I totally get it if you like StarCraft more, but I'm just an Age of Empires 2 fan. I love how many civilizations there are. I think it's a beautiful looking game, especially for one of the era that it was made in. I just think it's such an epic game. And so it's set in like it spans a long time. It goes over 4 different ages. But it starts off like where you're just this small village and then you grow, and it's kind of like the real-time strategy thing. If you have farming, you have your armies, and then you go to war against other people. But the dynamicness of it was really great. All the different civilizations made like constantly good warfare. And like when I was probably, I'd say 10 when I first started playing, maybe a little younger, maybe 8 or 9. I think probably 10 is when I first started playing online, and I remember just getting crushed.
Right.
Just getting destroyed. And I got exposed.
That's how multiplayer games are when you first start.
Yeah. Because we started playing games when they first started becoming online.
Dude, and here's something too, I'll just throw this in there. When you used to play Day of Defeat a lot, I didn't even bother with Counter-Strike, but actually both of those, it might have been during Counter-Strike, I was so intimidated by how hard it was that's why it took me so long to get into multiplayer games, because it just looks so intimidatingly hard. I think maybe I tried it and I just got wiped out instantly. It's like,
yeah.
And the fact that it was online just made me, I guess, nervous or something. But yeah, I was intimidated. I let that be your thing, and I stuck to my offline games.
Yeah. We branched off for a long time. I got really into the online super competitive world, which is more just my natural habitat. I'm really into competitive things. Landon's more into storylines and
creativity.
Yep, more things that are more artistic. I'm like, as long as I get to be competitive with people, I'm cool.
Yeah.
And so that the next major game I got into was, as Landon said, Day of Defeat. I'm probably forgetting some other games, but that kind of paved the way for Counter-Strike, which to this day I just got back into in the last week and a half. Got back into Counter-Strike Source, which was released in 2004. Counter-Strike was probably 2001, maybe 99 or something like that. But so Counter-Strike Source is still my jam. I still have a super good time. There's still around a few thousand people that still play that game, and it is crazy fun for me. There's CS:GO now, which is the next version, but I still love it, and it's the first-person shooter. Like, it's just so many people are so incredibly skilled. The game set the floor for people to have to get really, really skilled. And there's lots of games that have lots of skill. There totally are. But just the way that, like, Counter-Strike did the hitboxes and how you'd have to you'd have to slow down and not be moving so much to be able to really get a good shot. And it wasn't like a zoomed-in thing, but you'd stop moving, then your hitbox would get a lot closer together. It's just a good game.
Right.
And
my kind of intro was I did play Day of Defeat. I was never very good at it. I think the first multiplayer game that I was good at was Call of Duty.
Yep, you're good at Call of Duty.
And maybe because I was more used to consoles.
It was the first game. Landon was actually a lot better than me. That was like a first-person shooter. Landon was a lot better than me at
I think I played it a lot.
Call of Duty.
I think it was actually my game.
Yeah.
And so
yep.
I think that was when I was living in Fortuna. So
yeah.
You'd come over and play.
And,
yeah.
Landon
so I stuck
with
Call of
P90.
Duty for a while, dude. I stuck with Call of Duty until like Black Ops 2, I think.
Wow.
And it's just after that. The thing was, like, as soon as I got Battlefield 3, I think. Yeah, Battlefield 3. And I had played Battlefield 1942, but again, that was a computer game. Wasn't that into that. But Battlefield 3 got me going, this is pretty cool. Like, much bigger map. There's more strategy as opposed to, like, fast reflexes.
Yeah.
And then, so I started moving in that direction. And then Call of Duty started getting all futuristic and sciencey and stuff. And
Landon's always hated
pissed
Halo.
Me off.
Landon does not like Halo.
Yeah, I don't like Halo. I don't like first-person sci-fi games. I just don't. Like, I got on board with the idea. I've never been a big first-person shooter fan either. Mm-hmm. I've always been, growing up, I'd always argue with first-person shooter gamers and be like, third-person's so much better.
Yeah.
But I got on board with the whole military shooter thing, but the sci-fi, couldn't do that with. All I'm looking at is this big, like, alien gun in front of me as I'm shooting. It's just.
Yeah.
Especially Halo, I hated that you couldn't use sights. But Battlefield was just a whole new, like, world for me that was perfect because you had a much bigger map, destructible environments, which they did better and better as it, all the way to Battlefield 1 that it's like tons of the environments destructible. It's a very beautiful game now, Battlefield 1. It's just, to me, it knocks Call of Duty. I'll probably never play a Call of Duty game again. It's all Battlefield now.
Yeah, Battlefield's fun. Can we do our top 5?
Yeah, let's do our top 5.
Okay. So, me and Landon have been working on this list for a real long time. I think at least the last 40 minutes we've been working on it.
Which might be the length of the podcast so far. Coincidentally.
So, my number 5 spot goes to a Dungeons and Dragons game called Neverwinter Nights. And what I loved about this game was the ability you could create worlds. You could create whole entire worlds. And similar to the stuff that I experienced on real-time strategy games, but it was so deep because, like, I mean, you could really build an infinite world. You could build it and have so many different aspects of it and have such in-depth storylines that you could create. And the funnest part about it was that you could join servers of people that created their own worlds. And it made it so that it brought you into people that were truly passionate about the fantasy world. You could get into their fantasy real quick, and you could experience it. You could play their stories, their quests, and all that stuff. And I never got into the Dungeons and Dragons like actual board game, but it was an awesome exposure to that, like kind of the fun way that anyone can really be creative and then express it in a really awesome way. What's your number 5?
Do we want to do this where we can a whole series be a number, or
Yeah, whole series.
Because then I could put a bunch of games.
A whole series is a number.
Okay, so 5 of them. So. I mean, it's hard to go backwards.
I know, right?
Yeah. I think what has to be on the list, if it's gonna, and if it can be a whole series, would be the Grand Theft Auto series.
Yeah, that's a fun series.
That's a life-changing, like, or just a game-changing series where, you know, Grand Theft Auto 3 was the first, like, open world. It made you feel like you could do anything. And it's like, I mean, we were playing, like, you know, what? Maybe Metal Gear Solid, maybe Tomb Raider, maybe Donkey Kong or something. And there's this game that exists where you can go drive on to the top of a building and go snipe someone from like a mile away.
Nice innocent civilian.
Yeah, just kill innocent people. And it's like, I think like
it's terrible.
Cody and Kyle and Curtis got me into it a lot. Like,
it's our stepbrothers.
Allured me with the like the violence of it and like the taboo of it. Like, it was more like, it was kind of attractive in a taboo kind of way.
It was, especially when you're in middle school.
You're in middle school, and I don't know, there's just like this rebellious kind of thing where I wanted to play like this taboo kind of game that was right on the line. It wasn't like just pure gore for the sake of pure gore, but you could just like do all these crazy things, run over prostitutes and stuff.
Crazy stuff. Yep.
Yeah. But that wasn't why it's on my list. Just want to clarify that. Why it's on my list is because it changed the world of games by making a huge world that's free roaming.
Yep, a free roaming.
That changed everything.
Yep.
For sure.
Yep,
so many games benefit because of that.
Yep. Yep.
Couldn't really... It's not really what the Metal Gear Solid series needed, but...
Yep. For me, the next one is Counter-Strike Source. It's my number 4 spot.
Yeah.
So, already talked about it a lot, but just the never-ending fun, for me at least, of getting crazy competitive, getting down your headshots, and just rallying with some guys. It feels like an ever-changing game because you get to boom headshot.
Boom headshot.
Yeah, I mean,
that was Counter-Strike Source, right?
No, that'd be like a mod that you could add to it. Oh crap! I just realized I might have to put like a 3.5 in there.
Okay.
Because I didn't make room for Max Payne, which would be a terrible flaw.
Well, that'll probably be my number 4.
Actually. There we go. You'll talk about it. Okay. So Counter-Strike Source, that's my number 4.
Yeah. Oh man, I can't believe I didn't even think about Max Payne. Max Payne, dude,
it meant a lot to us. We spent so much time.
I mean, another game that pretty much changed my life too, and got a lot of my time. The first Max Payne game where, here's the thing, I played the PC version, and then I got the PlayStation version, played it all over again on that, and then I went back to the PC version. The thing was, I love the storyline. I love the fact that it has like this narration. It's like this dark, like New York kind of comic book style, and it's bullet time slow motion, like
which
the
was
Matrix.
The sickest thing ever.
Which was like the Matrix, but I don't like. It wasn't trying to be the Matrix either. And then when I found out what it was trying to be more like, it made it that much better because what they're actually trying to do is do more of an ode to John Woo movies.
Yep.
So, what was those movies called? But anyway, I mean, all his movies have the like shoot dodge kind of thing where he
Yep.
dives and shoots with 2 pistols,
Yep.
and that was just so sweet.
So much fun.
And then there's these incredible modders for Max Payne that had my same passion for the Matrix.
Yep.
And they were basically turning Max Payne into like a Matrix kind of game. So all my love for the Matrix, with also my slight love for the Max Payne theme.
Yep.
But also
with just one of the most solid game engines ever.
Yeah.
I think all the games that we talk about have incredibly solid game engines.
Dude, it's one of the few games where when you shoot guns, there's actually bullets coming out of your guns.
Yeah.
That's why when
and
you
the
go
damage
into
actually
slow
is affected
motion,
when the bullet actually hits the module of the character.
well, and you could mod it so that it would go slow enough where you could actually see those bullets moving through the air.
Yeah,
You
it
just
was so
watch
sick.
them move. Like, oh. Or like one of my favorite mods. This was actually from Max Payne 2. Was the stop time mod.
Yeah.
And you could shoot hundreds of bullets. You could basically shoot bullets towards every enemy in the room while time was stopped, and the bullets would just be placed in air. And then you turn the time back on, and those bullets just shoot through everybody. Everyone in the room is just dead.
Yeah, and it was an epic feeling.
That's something that you hope you see in a movie. That's like some like epic, like Darth Vader at the end of Rogue One kind of stuff.
Yep.
Oh, well, I already kind of said that in the Rogue One thing, but if you're gonna watch anything from Metal Gear Solid, if you just want to watch a clip from Metal Gear Solid, look for Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes, Ninja. Just look that up and look for Ninja Gray Fox just tearing up all these soldiers in the GameCube version, the Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes.
Yeah.
I swear to you, that's the inspiration for what happens in Rogue One. It's almost scene for scene.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah.
He's
I do
chopping
think
these
that's the
dudes up.
inspiration.
And okay, although Darth Vader uses the Force to put someone on the ceiling, Gray Fox just kicks someone's feet from under them, which makes them kind of flip into the air, and then chops them in half. It's like scene for scene, almost the same thing.
It is. It's really intense. You should definitely check it out.
Yeah, I had a weird kind of love for that scene where I put that scene to a Slipknot song and posted it on YouTube. That was like my first YouTube video, was just mixing that with Slipknot. Or probably wasn't Left by
Celebrate My Bunnies.
I probably put
that
it
was
Drowning
the parody
Pool.
that I made. So
wait, what was the bunnies thing?
Instead of Liberate My Madness, Celebrate My Bunnies. I made all these Slipknot parodies and all this.
My brother thought that when the song was saying Liberate My Madness by Slipknot, that it was actually saying Liberate My Bunnies.
Celebrate.
Oh, celebrate.
Yeah, celebrate.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, they're so cute.
Celebrate my borders.
Okay, number 3. What did I have? Oh gosh. Oh,
Let's see.
did I haven't said Age of Empires 2 yet. Huh?
No.
That was my number 3. Was Age of Empires 2. Then I
Oh,
had
yeah.
the next 2.
Yeah, that was.
Which I don't know if you're going to expect my number 1. I think it's going to catch you from left field.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. So, okay, number 3.
Yep.
It's hard to think of all the games. Number 3. Let's give that to. Let's see.
We're going to come back and be like, oh my gosh, we forgot about this game. We're going to probably have to do a revision.
We should have written this down before we did this, but
Landon's looking around the room for some reason.
I'm looking for inspiration because I pretty much surround myself with the things that. Well, I'll put this on here. Pokemon. The Pokemon series was huge. Me and Spencer and our stepbrothers used to play this.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was really cool because we could all trade the Pokemon. It was a very, like, in a world with no multiplayer games at that time, pretty much. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when we were playing Pokemon, we didn't have any.
We didn't have any. Yeah, and we do like the Game Boy Connect thing, and
yeah, and we connect and trade them, and I think we could even battle them that way.
yeah, you could
And
battle.
it was an RPG, and it was
super
really
fun.
RPG.
Yep.
And there's knowledge to it. You have to know what was effective against what.
Yep. Super fun.
So yeah, that would be my number 3.
My number 2 goes to Metal Gear Solid.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because and
What
I'll
was
be
your
honest,
favorite Metal Gear Solid game?
number 1.
Okay.
And I loved it for GameCube, but the nostalgia of PlayStation takes number 1
Yeah.
for Metal Gear Solid. Yep.
Number 2. Number 2. There's some big ones. I mean, there's the multiplayer games, but let's see. I mean, Tomb Raider. We played Tomb Raider a lot,
Yeah.
but I don't know if I put that.
Didn't make a lasting impact though, for me.
You know what? I would put as my. I'm gonna move things around though. I'll put Max Payne as my number. We're on number 2.
Yeah.
Put Max Payne as my number 2,
That's
and
right.
I'll put number 4 as Star Wars Jedi Power Battles. I played that with my cousin Tyler, and we played that a lot, and it was the best Star Wars game I've ever played. Every single time I played it, I felt like I was a Jedi, that I was really wielding a lightsaber, and it was just the whole experience. It felt awesome.
That's funny. I forgot about that.
Deflecting lasers, and yeah.
Dude, that's funny. That was the biggest surprise that I have from your top 5. Okay, so I'm on my number 1, right?
Yeah.
Okay, my number 1, Super Smash Brothers Melee.
Really?
Really.
I
For all of
mean,
you.
it's a fun game. I thought about putting it in my top.
Mm-hmm.
But
So
I'm not that competitive, and that's a very competitive.
it's extremely competitive. If you guys watch like the pro gamers that play that game, it's just bizarre. It's like, what are you doing? How are you doing that with this game? Because there's these little, specifically Melee, because that game had the wave dash. Which the wave dash is a very it's somewhat of a glitch in the game, where if you do like an air dodge when you're at a certain distance from the ground, your character will actually dash forward. And while you're moving forward, you can do a different kind of powerful move while you're moving towards your enemy, your opponent, so that you can get even more of an edge. And what I just love about that game, I think all of my games that are on my top 5 have really solid game engines, but even though, I guess you might say that's a glitch, has a solid game engine. I think it, like, just how crisp everything was, it just made it so much fun. Like, it just made it made it so dang competitive, and it just made your skill have to be so top notch. And I just have to give my number 1 to a game that's made me forget to blink countless times. Like, I cannot tell you how many times I've played that game and my eyes are like drying, like they're tearing up. I'm like, why are they doing that? Oh crap, it's because my brain forgot that it needs to blink because it's totally obsessed.
I feel like I have that like permanently from video games.
So that's my top 5.
Alright. And of course my number 1 is the Metal Gear Solid series.
Yep.
Even despite all the blunders of the sequels, I mean, Metal Gear Solid 2, though, to me, that philosophical depth could almost make it number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it goes to a place that, you know, it feels unique to me. Like, Metal Gear Solid 2 kind of gets me in a weird way. Like, in the way that I feel like Fight Club or or Donnie Darko, or it's just got this like depth, and it has twists, and Metal Gear Solid 3, I had high hopes for it. I thought maybe it would be free roaming. I thought it'd be interesting to play a very like old school kind of Solid Snake that's like Cold War. It had too many problems for me though. I'm amazed that to this day so many people claim that that's their favorite in the series.
I didn't
That
know
blows
that
me away. But I've met a ton of people that say that. Metal Gear Solid 4 is super weird. You're playing as Snake that has an aging disease. It's another one of those situations where they let you think that you're gonna be playing as Solid Snake way in the future where he's old, and until you actually buy the game you find out that it's only a few years in the future, and for some reason he has this weird aging disease, and so he's really old, and just so much about it is really weird. And then Metal Gear Solid 5, weird to a whole new depth. Very uncomfortable situations that don't add to the storyline. I had discussions with people over the internet over they thought, oh, this is so brave, this is so brave. Why? Because you got this girl that's half naked, and then you have this story of like this backstory. Thank God they didn't like show it or anything, of like these kids basically being forced to have sex with each other. Like it was really dark for no reason. And then the character you're playing as Big Boss, but spoiler alert, you end up finding out that it's not Big Boss, it's kind of in a sense you, but also it's the medic that was on the helicopter in the demo that they came out with. Did you ever play Ground Zeroes?
No.
In Ground Zeroes, you're playing as Big Boss.
I stopped on 3.
Yeah, well, okay, you're playing as Big Boss, and the plane, you're in a plane, and it goes down, and if there's an explosion, and this medic jumps in front of Big Boss during this explosion. When they get out of the hospital, apparently they have switched their faces. Basically, they're giving you Big Boss's face to disguise you. And so it's kind of cool because it connects to the first Metal Gear in the sense that like instead of it, like Big Boss was never evil, it was you that was evil that ends up like, I don't know, it's really complicated, but, and that was the thing, it was just overly complicated, it was weird. You're playing as like this, you're a demon character, and you've gone to hell, and just like really like it was like Hideo Kojima's final chance of saying like, I hate my fans. Because like basically at this point he's literally calling his fans demons. Like instead of playing as Big Boss, you're playing as you. You're playing as the character, you end up seeing your face in the mirror, the face that you chose, the face that you have for the online mode and everything. But that ends up being who you're playing as. There is no, Big Boss is off doing his own thing.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and so you're
This is why
and
you
the
never
thing
told me
is
to play
like
it.
here there's this story that goes all the way back to Metal Gear Solid 1 of Big Boss being this evil character
Yeah.
that Solid Snake has to take down. Well, it turns out Big Boss was never evil. It was you with his face. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. And so apparently, so the idea is it goes from Metal Gear Solid 5 to Metal Gear, the very first game. And Solid Snake thinks he's taking down Big Boss, but he's actually taking down that medic.
Oh,
You,
that's funny.
basically. Yeah, and the real Big Boss shows up in Metal Gear Solid 4 and talks Solid Snake out of killing himself. You know that scene where he's like holding a gun in his mouth?
I didn't play old number 4 or 2.
Yeah, in Metal Gear
Except for
Solid 4. I thought you played Metal Gear Solid 4.
I played some of it. I didn't play it all the way through.
Yeah, there's this part where he puts a gun in his mouth and he's about to kill himself. He's sitting at a graveyard looking at Big Boss's grave. But then Big Boss shows up
I can't
there
remember that.
and tells him to, just like all the way back in Metal Gear Solid 1, tells him to keep on living. That's like the story throughout Metal Gear Solid, or throughout Solid Snake's life, is just he keeps on having reasons to not live. Like he gets Fox die, and he could die at any moment, and Meryl just tells him, "Yeah, you could, but instead of focusing on that, just live.
Yep.
Just live your life. You can't live your life wondering when that's gonna happen.
Yep.
Just live."
Yep. And it
Deep
is.
stuff, and that's why I love Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, it is. It's deep stuff.
But, yeah, that's it.
And thus concludes the end of.
Yeah,
Cali
right at the
Nerdcast.
hour mark. Perfect.
Hey, nice. We don't even mean to.
So, yeah, thanks for listening to the podcast, and we will
See you on the flippity flip.
see you on the flippity flip. Flippity flop. Floppity floop.